here today to announce a new initiative that will be implemented in partnership with the Cleveland office of the FBI, the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office, and the Cleveland Division of Police. Our speakers today will be Mayor Frank G. Jackson, Chief Calvin D. Williams, Special Agent in charge of the Cleveland office of the FBI, Stephen Anthony, Cuyahoga County Chief Deputy George Taylor, and Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Michael O'Malley. Mayor.
Good morning. Violent crimes, particularly homicides, many times have many different faces. There's the crimes of passion. There are even innocent victims, but there's also violence and homicides related to drug activity and gang activity. This initiative is really focused on how can we bring closure to unsolved homicides with the hope of affecting the outcome of those three categories, meaning that we would look at bringing closure, and then with that closure, identifying if there's anybody who has been involved in multiple instances of whether it's homicides, felonious assaults, or other violent crimes. And this initiative will go a long way in helping us to reduce violence, particularly homicides in the city of Cleveland. I'll turn it over to the chief, who will give us a brief description on the initiative itself. Okay.
Thanks, Mayor. Good morning. Thanks for coming. As the mayor stated, we are announcing today the formation of the Cleveland Homicide Review Task Force. This task force has been in the making for a few weeks now. It involves our partners from the Cleveland office of the FBI, Stephen Anthony and his folks, our Cuyahoga County Sheriff, Sheriff Pinckney, and who's represented by Chief Deputy Taylor, as well as, of course, the members of the Cleveland Division of Police, our County Prosecutor's Office, and our Medical Examiner's Office. This task force is formed to do a few things, as the mayor stated, definitely to take some of the unsolved homicides off the books and give closure to the families out there. It's also formed to make sure that we do everything possible in the way of violent crime in this city. We've been looking at this model for a while now. We've looked at several cities around the country and how they do homicide investigations and follow-up. We've looked at everything from staffing to the actual equipment used by investigators. And we think this model is going to work here in the city of Cleveland. And we definitely know that the more emphasis you put on the unsolved homicides, as far as analysts, trained investigators, concentrating on those things, the better outcomes you have. So we definitely want people to know that we're on top of this. This is something that we've talked about for a little bit, and now with the resources and the help of our partners that you see here today, we're able to put this in motion. So with that said, I'm going to bring up Steve Anthony, our Special Agent in charge of the Cleveland office of the FBI.
Thank you, Chief. As you all know, under the Chief's leadership, he and his team have come up with many unique ways to address specific crime problems, whether it be guns, drugs, or other violent crime. This is just one more example of the Cleveland Division of Police's efforts to come up with unique ways, collaborative ways to try to address a particular problem. And here we're talking about homicides. And the FBI is very excited to be part of this, to work alongside the Cleveland Division of Police, as we do with other task forces, to work beside our Sheriff's Office partners, and just try to add whatever benefit we can through investigative resources and also analytical resources to help the men and women of the homicide unit, which again, day in and day out, do a great job. If we could help fill a gap, if we could help in any way, that's what we want to do. Obviously, addressing violent crime is a big priority for the FBI and all of our partners. So we plan on committing agent resources. We plan on committing analytical resources. And again, these individuals will be used for however the chief and his folks deem appropriate, whether it's on the street, following up the leads, or whether it be providing that tactical intelligence or that strategic intelligence that, again, can maybe help the investigators in any small way. And that's what it's all about. Again, the collaboration among the partners here and others in this community, you all well know that this is not a new thing. It has been going on for some time. What's exciting about this is just one more, again, opportunity under the chief's leadership and his vision and the mayor's office to come up with a way that maybe we can make an impact and, again, solve some of the homicides that haven't been solved, and again, provide help in any way we can to help, as the mayor said and the chief said, solve these cases and prevent, hopefully, further instances of violence and add closure to the family. So we're excited about being part of this, and we appreciate the opportunity, Chief, to be part of it. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Now I'm going to bring up Chief Deputy George Taylor from the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. Good morning. This is all about partnerships. Without partnerships, investigations don't go anywhere. There's a lot of people that are involved in partnerships, and we are expanding the partnerships now so that we can look at some of the older cases that there may be new evidence, there may be new technology that could be used to solve some of these cases. And we are also going to do something a little bit different this time in that some of the investigators from the Cleveland Division of Police will be deputized, which will allow them to go outside of their jurisdiction of the city and continue these investigations. Some of these investigations will lead outside of the city into other areas of the county, and with the jurisdiction of the Sheriff's Department, it'll make it much easier for this team of investigators to do that. We're proud to be working with all the partners here, and the county executive has given us basically the blessing to go ahead and try to solve some of these cases, because not only does it affect the city of Cleveland, it affects the county of Cuyahoga. Our goal is to resolve these cases and give the communities and the families some closure in these cases. And with that said, before I stumble any longer, I'm going to turn it over to the county prosecutor.
Thank you, George. On behalf of the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office, we're excited by the initiative driven by Mayor Jackson and Chief Williams. You know, much as we saw last week with the tragic case involving Justin Christian, teamwork is what solves crimes. Criminals don't know boundaries, and the goal of this task force is to solve these cases, bring closure to the families, but also to drive down the homicide rate and the violent crime rate within our city. So we welcome the opportunity to work with our partners. This is a very good day for law enforcement, and just as important, it's a good day for the citizens of Cleveland to help make our community safer. And we look forward to working with our partners, the Chief, the Mayor, the Sheriff's Department, and Special Agent Anthony.
We can take some questions.
Questions?
Who from the police department side is going to be working on it? Is it homicide investigators, or are they?
Yes, these are seasoned homicide investigators from our homicide unit, along with investigators from the county sheriff's department, as well as agents from the FBI.
I mean, isn't the homicide unit kind of stretched thin as it is with its own cases?
Yeah, as I said before, we've looked at the staffing, not just of our homicide unit, but our other units that address violent crime in the city, our NICE unit, our gang impact squads, and the mayor has given us a tool to increase that staffing, and we're working on increasing staffing in all those units.
How many are you guys looking at? Is there a...
Yeah, I can't give you an exact figure, but we do have a staffing plan that's been approved by the mayor, and that staffing plan entails, again, our homicide unit, our NICE unit, our gang impact squad. So I can tell you that based on best practices that we've looked at all over the country, our homicide unit, as well as this cold case, what we call homicide review task force, will be staffed up properly.
And then how many homicides are you looking at? Is there a way, like, you guys analyze which are...
We're not going to, yeah, it's a process of analyzing each and every homicide, and it's not just homicides that are referred to as cold cases, but this review task force, and that's why we named it Review Task Force. They're going to look at all homicides in the city, and some outside of the city that touch things that happen here in Cleveland. So we're not going to be limited to a certain time frame or a certain scope. Their task is to review all the homicides that happen here in this part of Northeast Ohio to make sure that we're using every resource possible to get those solved. Anything else?
Can you say what kind of new, you mentioned new technology that you have?
Well, our medical examiner isn't here today. Dr. Gilson couldn't make it. But there are always new things that come into play in forensics that we can use to evaluate older evidence. So our analyst, along with the detectives assigned to this task force, will start to take a look at that in consultation with the medical examiner's office. There are also new investigative techniques, again, that we look at with our prosecutor's office. We've taken a look, again, at probably half a dozen cities around this country and how they investigate homicides, how they're staffed up, how they work in partnership with their prosecutor's office, with their ME's office, and with other jurisdictions around them. And we think this is the best model going forward. Now, we don't have all the answers. This started a week ago. So we're in the process of setting the parameters for this endeavor, for this task force. We're also in the process of making sure that it's flexible enough so that if things need to change here down the road, that we can change it. So we'll come back to you guys later on, because I'm sure once you digest this, you'll have more questions, and we'll answer those questions. But I think this is a great thing for the city of Cleveland, for Northeast Ohio, and again, as the prosecutor stated, it shows the partnerships that we develop here in Northeast Ohio and how we work together to make sure all of our communities are safe.
And I have a question for Mike. Didn't the prosecutor's office have a cold case unit that looked into cold cases? Is it still going? And
Well, again, I'll let the prosecutor respond, but this is not just cold cases. Again, this is a homicide review task force that looks at all the homicides that happen in the city and looks for closure on all this. But I'll let the prosecutor respond to
Our
this.
cold case unit has evolved into the rape.
You want to step to the mic?
Sure. The prosecutor's office years ago had a cold case unit that looked at some homicides, but through the evolution, in the office, when all the rape kits came up, we started the process. It has evolved now into the CODIS task force, where we are looking at the old rape kits. So we're not looking at old homicides, and that's why this is so important, to try to focus on current and some of the old homicides, again, to try to bring closure to the families, but just as importantly, to try to bring down the crime rate by the individuals who are perpetrating these type of violent crimes that are occurring within our community. And so, we welcome the opportunity to work with our partners here, assist in these cases that are currently being investigated, and using whatever tools we can to solve them.
And I don't want you to lose sight of the partnership. That's very important, because the analytical skills of the FBI, the county sheriff, and our homicide unit is part of that. It really goes a long way. And as we have realized, and you probably know, that the resolution of one homicide or some may result in the resolution of multiple felonious assault, because you have gang activity, you have drug activity, and one person may be responsible for multiple things. But this is not just, as was mentioned, cold case. This is looking at violent crime in general, homicides in particular, knowing that if we resolve one case, we could resolve multiple cases as a result of the action. And this partnership gives us the tools that that are necessary to be able to be effective in that. I don't want you to lose sight of the. Now we'll work on the staffing issue and the deployment issue as we move into the latter part of this year and into the budget for 2018. We'll work on that in terms of numbers and where people are and things like that. But this is this partnership today is a very important partnership that, if when done, it will cause some discomfort among those who are involved in gangs and involved in drugs and involved in violent acts, felonious assaults, and all those kinds of things that result in the unsafe conditions on the street. So I want you to keep it in that context too. Okay?
All right, thank you.